Okay, today we're going to try to fix one bug. And that bug is going to be the a sound bug. It's the multiple collide. When we collide on the side, it makes a bounce, right? But if we come at an angle and collide, sometimes it plays the sound more than once. Like that. So we're gonna try to fix that. Yeah, you guys heard it right. So we're gonna try to fix that. So we already tried to fix this once. And it wasn't great. It was harder than I thought it was going to be. But basically, let's find when we're playing this sound, right? So it's called collide sound right here. So left collide and right collide. Those are the only two times we play that sound. So what's happening is we're detecting a right collision, and we already did a little fix here. We did this if dx is greater than a 0.1 or smaller than a negative 0.1, then that's when you play the sound, and that's to prevent it from playing infinitely when we fly in the buffer zone. So we've got a little fix there, at least for, it solves half our problem. But it's still triggering upon that weird side collision. And last time we tried to fix it, we did a little timer, which that's the only way. That's the way I'm thinking of fixing it now. Is like once we collide, we set a timer, and we don't allow ourselves to play the sound again if that timer is less than a certain threshold. So let's just try it. Let's try it again and see what we're getting hung up on. I'm gonna give ourselves a collide timer. Initialize it to 0. Now I'm kind of thinking we might want to put it in the function here. Right collides. Yeah, maybe we say like, so what's the, I guess there's like, what's stopping us from just putting the sound right here upon a right collide? And I guess it's just because we have other logic. Well, okay, no, that's... Yeah, I guess there is no difference really. Like we could technically move all of this logic into that collides platform. No, because the function just returns a true. Well, I guess it could do other stuff too. I think I like the functions to just have the whether or not it's colliding or not logic, not what to do if there's a collision logic. just determining collision logic. I think that's cleaner. So yeah, that makes sense. So let's say so we're gonna make sure it's not, we're gonna make sure our dx is not 0 before we play, but we're also gonna say if our collide timer is equal to 0, then we're gonna play this sound. And then we're gonna start incrementing. See, no, this isn't right. If collide timer, see, because we can't increment it here, because then collide timer will only increment for every frame it's detecting a collision, but we want to increment it every frame once it gets triggered. So it's like we need a Boolean as well. I don't know if I like that we need a just collided Boolean. Then we get to false. So we're gonna say if collide timer is 0, play the collide sound. And we need to say something like if collide timer is 0 and we're left collided with something, then we have just collided gets set to true. We'll switch this flag off once we increment it a certain amount. So we are in the update function of our ostrich class. So once here we'll say if we're just collided, then this is where we increment our collide timer. So collide timer gets itself plus time in seconds since last frame, and then if collide timer greater than 1/5 of a second, then just collided gets false. So that's where we're resetting our Boolean. And then we also need to reset our collide timer to get 0. So now our collide timer isn't dependent on whether or not we're in a collision. It's dependent on this flag, just collided, which can only become true if collide timer is 0 and a collision is detected. Then once we pass the threshold of collide timer, we're no longer just collided, and then we set our collide timer to 0. Therefore, it would allow us to play this sound again. Reset the timer. Reset the DT, yeah. So I think that's okay. This is just the left collide. So when we're testing it, because I want to test it, I want to see, we're gonna have to only do left collide because I haven't done it for the right one just yet. But let us go down to gonna print up. See, and I don't know. Maybe we just print it here. Yeah, we're gonna say love.graphics.print, and we're going to print a string called collide timer, and we're going to concatenate our collide timer to a string so that we can concatenate it to this debugging info. We don't really need to print the just to print the just collided boolean, because we'll be able to see when that's getting swapped off whether or not collide timer is set to 0 or not. So collide timer will always get set to 0 after a fifth of a second of colliding, at least right now with left collision. So let's see if that is doing anything for us. So collide timer is 0. Once we left collide, it stayed 0. What is the font that we use? Small font. Let's set small font for this. Debug real quick. And then for whatever reason, a left collision wasn't incrementing our collide timer. So left collision. So look, if just collided, this is evaluating the boolean, then collide timer gets itself plus dt. If collide timer is greater than positive 0.2, I don't know why I had negative in there, then swap it back. Okay, let's try that. So we're looking to trigger that. It looks like it. Let's give us a little bit more time than a fifth of a second. Let's just do 1 second. Yeah, so do you see how collide timer is going to be 0 until we trigger it? Once we trigger it, it counts to 1 second and then turns off. So, and the sweet spot we need to figure out is we need to be able to run full speed off this platform. Well, yeah, so you see that. It's almost like we want to make sure our collide timer doesn't interfere with fast successive collides, because we want both collide sounds in that scenario. So we need to basically adjust the threshold so that it's long enough to get us those proper bumps. But this is looking like it's working right. So, well, actually, we have it the 1 second. Let's see if we can get it with 1 second, if we can get it to play the multiple collision sound. Why did our music stop? It did this yesterday too. Thread got too far behind time. Thread death. Huh? Got too far behind time. Let's just switch this 5 and like a little less, I guess. I don't know. And then run it again. Let's see if we can get the multiple collide sound bug. It's hard to get the angle just right. It's hard to get the angle. Shoot. There, that was the problem, you know? That was it. It did the boop boop, but it wasn't the brrr 60 times a second. It was just twice. So, instead of, 1 second was not good enough, which I thought it wasn't. That's why I had it at 0.2. Well, no, actually. 1 second would mean it would need to be longer than 1 second to prevent that error. Is that right? Collide timer, let's try it with 2. Let's see if we can get the same bug with 2 now. DX was too slow. I didn't hear two collisions there. But 2 seconds has got to be too long if we're bouncing fast like that, Well, we don't have. Let's get the right collides logic in there. So basically we want this exact, we want this moved down to be after our right collision as well, so we can check that just collided. What? Why? I don't get why it copies the spaces over weird. It's like, just do it the way it was, Whatever. Okay. So we need this similar thing here. We need to say, only play this sound if collide timer is greater than, oh, no. If it's 0, meaning it was reset after the threshold. So only play that, but not only play that, swap your Boolean to just collided to true. At which point it'll count the collide, it'll increment the count timer. So it'll only play the sound if our collide timer is currently 0, and it can only become 0 if it's past the threshold, which currently is 2 seconds. I think that's way too long. But we can at least verify that now. Oh, actually. Yeah. So see how it didn't play that second bounce when it should have. See, it should have went boom boom when it didn't. So we need to swap out this 2 with a constant called It's just a threshold for the collide timer. Collide timer threshold gets 1. Now we're gonna put this instead of the 2, both here, and oh no, it's just there. Okay. So let's see if 1 fixes our problem. It got the 2 bounces. You heard it, right? Yeah, so it looks like, oh, it even worked. Yeah, it worked there. Which is the yeah, so basically that's probably the tightest bounce, the tightest 2 bounces. So the question is, what is the most we can increase that timer, or the most we can decrease that timer to where it still makes those bounces? That looks pretty close, actually. So let's see if our multiple sound problem is fixed now. When we come at it at the angle here. Was that it? Just 1. Just 1. But it was hard to trigger it. It wasn't as easy. That looked like it might have been it. I can't get it to do it. That looks pretty close. It's hard to get just right. I think if it's this hard for me to get the bug when I know how to trigger the bug, I think it's safe to say, oh, did you hear it? But it actually, I don't know if that one kind of looked like it was okay. It made 2 sounds because it was kind of a wonky hit. I think I'm okay with that. Gosh, it looks so cool. It looks so cool. It's a great little game. Oh no, I just think I realized a bug. I think I need to check last input for our aerial direction face, because I'm holding right and we're facing left, which it shouldn't be possible to fly backwards like that. Well, it shouldn't be possible to fly backwards like that when we're holding. Huh. Actually, maybe... So if I'm in the air, holding the direction I'm facing, hold the other direction I'm facing. Hold on. I gotta figure out how to articulate the bug. So it's like we're in the air, we face left, but then we let go of left. We're still facing left, even though we're holding right. I'm gonna check the original real quick and see if that's the case. So we're moving right, we jump. Fuck you, man. You're kidding me. This has got to be the fastest anyone's ever lost a whole game of Joust. Okay. So, yeah, if we're in the air, we turn. We're in the air, we turn. Yeah, it does swap it direction. So we do ultimately need to change that in ours, which is to check the last input, a lot like we did it when we were grounded. I'm not too worried about fixing it. So I mean, it looks like this collide timer threshold of 1 is just about the sweet spot, because you can't really collide faster than 1 second when it comes to the platforms. And then we only got, after a couple minutes of trying for the bug, we only got it to come out once, and it was kind of wonky. It was like the thing I wanted to stop was the 60 frames a second playing the side collide, which we definitely fixed that. So we're good on that front, I think. Then one thing I realized we need to do is change our render. See how we render platforms, then we render player? We need to render player, then our platforms, because we need the platform to go in front of the ostrich, just like the original. And we can demonstrate it right here. If we're like right here in that buffer zone, the platform is in front of the ostrich, which is how the original is. Which is something I had forgot to do before the commit yesterday, and I'm remembering now, so. Okay, so that's fixed. Let's see if we can't fix the aerial input problem on the facing direction here. So we see how we have the last input for our DX, but we don't have it for our facing directions. So if this is if we're in the air, aerial logic. So if left is pressed and we're facing right, then we're no longer facing right. But we need to say, I think we need to say, and our last input is left, because when you hold the inputs, it can get overwritten, so we just need to check for the last input. It's the whole problem where we made this last input fix. It's just we didn't fix it in the air. That's a subtle bug to find, I think, but we found it. So if right was pressed and right's the last input, then we're going to be facing right. So now, if we're in the air and we try to do that bug again, where we're flying, we turn. Oh, no. See, because right was pressed and right is our last input because it's being held down. It doesn't turn us until we let go of right and tap it again, but it should be. We're in the air. You know what? I think this is way too complicated. I think we just... Can we just take this out? Like, can we just say, if left is pressed and we're in the air, we're facing left. And if right is pressed and we're in the air, we're facing right. No, because it needs to be is down. It needs to be the continuous input. So look, if we keep right being held down and then we tap left, it doesn't actually switch us because the is down is kind of overriding it. So we do need to do something different. I don't think we need to. Well, it's hard to walk through this in my mind. If left was pressed and the last input was pressed, and we were facing right, then we're no longer facing right. Why do we need to check if we're facing right to determine whether or not we're facing right or facing left? Again. Was pressed. See, I think we do need the continuous input here. And then the last input will solve our... Shit, I don't know. There we go. Say I keep it held. If I keep both of them held, then it goes to the last input direction. But if I let go, it goes to the is down direction. So yeah, I guess the question now is, do we need this? Do we need to check which way we're facing? Or can we just check the last input? Yeah, it doesn't look like it. Doesn't look like we needed that other line of code. Okay, yeah, so we fixed that bug. How cool is this? Okay, I think next episode we're gonna be adding the little lava animation of the bubble. Not because, partially because I'm kind of procrastinating on adding all the other characters because it's going to be difficult, but partially because I just think that'll be really cool. And then once it's there, we'll get to see it, and then it'll make me happy. So I think we're going to do that next episode. But look at that, we found a bug we didn't know we had, we fixed it. We fixed something we forgot from last episode, and then we fixed our multi-sound side collision problem. So if we go to get diff, we can see we did the collide timer and just collided booleans logic to fix that. We did the just collide timer. We fixed our turning in midair, and then we changed our render order. I do want to turn this off. We don't need to see this anymore. I'll just delete it. Might as well delete this too. We don't need this anymore. Okay. So let us add everything with a commit message saying fixed multiple collide sound bug, multiple side collide sound bug, and fixed aerial direction upon multiple inputs. And then we also changed the render order, but that's not a big deal. So we're gonna get add everything and commit with that message. And get A only does that because of my get alias I set up. You guys remember that episode. Get A is get add everything and a get commit with a message. And then we'll get push to our origin main. Then we're good to go. Thanks for watching. Yeah, tomorrow. I'm thinking tomorrow is gonna be the infamous lava bubbles. Which, if we can survive long enough, see it? Just popped up, and then one over there. So yeah, it looks like it's kind of a little bit of a random element to it, but it should be easy. It's just, it's 3 sprites, but super simple, and it just moves up, and then once it hits the top of whatever the lava level is, it pops. So it shouldn't be too hard to implement. And then if you look at our sprites here, this is what it looks like. It's the bubble, and then it's the almost burst, and then the burst. So we'll have to recreate that. It looks different in the original game than in this sprite sheet. I just pulled this sprite sheet off somewhere. Oh, actually, no, it does look like that. So maybe that is right. Yeah, thanks for watching. See you tomorrow.